Hello, this is Lucas, and in this video I'm going to be going over comparisons in JavaScript. Okay, so let's get started. Let's say we have an alert here. Okay, and inside of the alert we have a comparison. Okay, so we have like 2 is greater than 1. Okay, now this will return a boolean of true because 2 is greater than 1. Okay, that is true. So we have another alert. Say in this alert we have something like 2 is equal to 1. Okay, now this will obviously return false because it's not equal to 1. Okay, now you can see that we used 2 equal signs here. So whenever we use 1 equal sign, okay, that means that we are assigning this value to this value. So for example, if we have let x is equal to 5, x is going to be equal to whatever value this is. Okay, however, whenever we use 2 equal signs, we are checking if this value is equal to this value. Because this value is not equal to this value, it will return a false. Okay, now we can do the other one, greater than, so we can do less than. If we do an alert, we do something like 2 is less than 1. Okay, this will return a false because 2 is greater than 1, it's not less than 1, so this will return a false. Now another example of this will be, so we have another alert, we have 2, then we do is not equal to 1. Okay, now this will return a true, so this will return a false because we are checking if 2 is equal to 1. It's not equal to 1, so it's false. But what we are checking here is, we are checking if 2 is not equal to 1. Okay, whenever we use this here, it's checking if it's not equal to 1. And 2 is not equal to 1, so we will return true. Now we can assign this to a value, so we can do something like let to result is equal to 5 is greater than 4, and this will return a boolean of true because 5 is greater than 4. So whenever we do this operation, this data type will become a boolean, so this will be a true or a false. Okay, now whenever we use these comparisons with strings, they work a bit different. So if we do an alert here, we have a string of z, okay, and we do this as greater than a, well, what this will return is a true, because this just works in an alphabet type of way. So z is higher up on the alphabet than a, so this is true. Okay, we do the same thing. Let's say we do an alert, we do another example. Let's say we do something like b, okay, and we do b is equal to, I don't know, bug, for example. This answer will also be true. Okay, true, because what we are doing here is we are only checking the first value. Now if the first value is greater than, okay, b, alright, well then that will return a true. Okay, because we are just checking the very first value. Okay, now let's say that we are going to be doing a comparison of 2 different data types. So we do an alert, we have a string 2, and we do this as greater than a number 1. Well, because we are doing an operation, this will return a true, because if we are ever doing an operation, the string gets turned into a number. Okay, so this is actually 2 is greater than 1, which is true, so the answer is true. Okay, so we can do, it's the same thing. If we have an alert, we do something like 02 is greater than 1, well, this will also return a true, because this number will be converted into a number, which is just 1. Okay, and actually this is going to be greater or equal to, because this is a string, this gets converted into a number, which is just 1, and 1 is equal to 1, so the value of that is true. It's the same thing if we do a boolean. So if we have an alert, and inside of the alert we have something like true is equal to 1, well, this will return a true. Because if we have the number 1, 1 represents true, and then the number 0 represents false. So if we have something like this, this will return a false, because 0 represents a false. Now, if we want to check if these values are actually the same, what we can do is we can have 3 equal signs. And by having 3 equal signs, we are now checking not just the values, but also the data types. Okay? So if we have this value as 1, if we have it like this, well, the answer is going to be true, because 1 is the same thing as true. Okay, 0 is the same thing as false. Now, if we have 3 equal signs here, the answer to this is going to be false, because even though 1 is true, but now we are checking the data types as well. Okay, now you can see this is a boolean and this is a number. Because the data types are different, we will get an output of false. And the same thing works with false and 0 and strings as well. Now, it's the same thing with nulls and undefined. So for example, let's say if we have a null, okay, we have not bool, a null, and we check if that equals to undefined, undefined, okay, the value of this is going to output true, okay, because null and undefined basically mean the same thing, okay, so it'll be a true. However, if we have 3 equal signs, well, now we are actually checking the data type, and because these two are different, the data types are different, this is a null and this is undefined, the answer of this is going to be false, because now we are actually checking the data type as well. Now, I want to go over something that might look a little bit tricky, okay, but let's say we have an alert here, okay, or not even an alert, let's say we have a null, and that is greater than 0. The output of this is going to be false, okay, because null is not greater than 0. But now if you do null is equal to 0, this will also output false. But whenever we do null is greater or equal to 0, the output of this is going to be true. And the reason is whenever we have this kind of operation, this null gets converted into a 0. So technically this is true because 0 is either greater or equal to 0. Okay, 0 is equal to 0, so this is true. But whenever we check if null is equal to 0, this is going to be false. Okay, because null is still null. It has not been converted to 0. Same thing with the greater than. But whenever we use this operation, this null is converted to a 0. Okay, so and then this operation here is true. The very last thing I'm going to go over is the undefined. So it's going to be the exact same example, except instead of null, we're going to have undefined. Let's do this. Let's change these to less than, and let's change this to equal. So the answer for all of these is going to be false. Okay, and the reason being is, what we are checking here is, because we are checking undefined, if undefined is greater than 0, this undefined gets changed or gets converted to NaN. Okay, and NaN is not greater than 0, so it's false. Same thing for this one. Okay, undefined gets converted into an NaN, which is not less than 0, which is false. Now, for the very last example, okay, undefined is still the same as undefined, okay. This does not get converted to NaN, right? But undefined can only be equal to undefined or null. If it's 0, it will still be false. Okay, so undefined can only be equal to a null or an undefined. So if we have a null here, well then the output that we get is actually going to be true. Okay, so that's about it for this video on comparisons. Hope this video helped. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.